This is the Hyundai i30N line. It's not quite the full-fat i30N hot hatch, but it's most of the way there. This one's priced from $33,113 drive away, and I'm here to walk you around it, take it on a drive, and let you know if you should buy one of these, or if you really do have to spend a bit more and get the i30N for the hot hatch and more fun driving experience. My name's Cameron, this is Product Review Cars, let's get into it. No, this isn't the i30N, this is the i30N line, but it does take a lot of design cues from the outgoing i30N itself. So what does that include? Well, it includes this aggressive front fascia with some silver pinstriping, some aggressive LED headlamps, and you've also got some cool LED turn indicators as well. And then alongside, you have some different 18-inch alloy wheels, which are the easiest way to tell the difference between an i30N and i30N line at a glance. But more importantly, those are wrapped in some pretty cool and sticky Michelin Pilot Sport rubber from factory. So that will come in handy a little bit later. And that brings me around to the back of the i30N line. This is possibly my favorite part of the exterior. Apart from some little black accents and some features like a reversing camera, my favorite part is found down here. We have dual exit exhausts, which look really nice. There is a diffuser of sorts, but it's not really super functional, except I do like the silver pinstriping on there. But yes, that exhaust is surprisingly fruity for a mild hot hatch like this one. So here's what that sounds like. Now, if you're looking for a sporty interior, the i30N line does not disappoint. To my surprise, even though this isn't a full-fat N, Hyundai have done a very nice job of making you feel a bit more special and, of course, make this feel a little bit more sporty in here. First of all, let's address the elephant in the room, which is stuck onto the dash here, which is the center screen. This isn't the biggest screen you can get, but this is the entry-level one for the N line, and it's very usable, and really, you're just going to use it for phone mirroring because everything else is just for settings, like, unless you really like listening to radio. Below that, we have some simple AC controls, and yes, it is dual zone with some clean air, which is quite interesting. But more importantly, the screen uses a wireless Apple CarPlay system, which is really cool. So that means you can use the wireless charging pad down here, throw your phone in, put it away, and you never have to plug in a cord, which is just fantastic. And I love how simple and easy it is to use like that and just get connected straight away. It's really quick to connect, and it's pretty stable most of the time. I've never had it really time out on me like some other Kia Hyundai products. Plenty of places to connect as well. There's some USB ports up the front. There's a 12 volt up front as well. And there's also a 12 volt found in the center storage, which is all right. And it's carpeted, so you can put a few items to lock away there. But I have to say, this shifter is an absolute masterpiece in making you feel a little bit more special in a car like this. It's an N specific shifter, so you got the N badge right on it. And it doesn't say N line, it's the full N shifter. It's really nicely grooved and it feels great in the hand. It's got a lift up operation to get into reverse. It's nice and slick to use, so that means it's approachable for any beginner manual drivers or even experienced ones like me. I'm happy to use this because it is still engaging enough without being too demanding on the day-to-day grind. In front of me, I have a digital driver's display, and unfortunately it's not a massive driver's display. Instead, it's just for the digital speedometer and trip information and some other car information. So it's a mix of digital and manual dials here in the driver's display. I love the N-specific steering wheel as well. It's got some red stitching, and there's plenty of red found here, like on the air vents, on the seat stitching, obviously on the manual boot. There's plenty of red stitching to be found, and it does feel nice and sporty in here. It does complement the fiery red exterior. Yes, that is the name of the paint. It feels good in the hand. It's telescopic in its adjustment, so you can get nice and comfortable. And then you've also got some nice pedal operations. They're nice and spaced apart, but it does make it really easy to do heel and toe if you're really into that. So that is a cool thing with the pedals, and they're nicely set up. The ergonomics of the interior is fantastic. Now, back seats of the i30N line, I have okay amounts of knee room, and that's because I'm sitting behind myself. This is how I'd be sitting. I'm 5'11", so I have marginal amounts of knee room because my knees will be pressed against the seats on occasion. I do have some okay headroom, but my arm room is pretty generous to the right of me. So I am feeling okay in here, but I definitely could do a road trip in here if I had to, because I can sort of stretch out, move my knees, and I can get a little bit more comfortable and still make sure the driver is feeling comfortable too. Back here, we have a few amenities like some adjustable air vents, and we also have some red seat belts, just like the front passengers do, which is cool. And then it's really nice and comfortable thanks to these leather seats. However, the person in the middle is not going to feel too comfortable, and that's because they're sitting on the hump, so they get less headroom and also less knee room and less feet room. So this middle seat really is just a jump seat. So if someone's going to be going for a shorter journey, let's say less than 20 minutes, you can definitely fit 5 people in here if you really had to. All right, so the boot space in the i30N line is 395 litres, which is very usable, and that's because Hyundai's gone to great lengths to make this as cavernous and spacious as possible. They've even put little cutouts behind the wheel well to try and make the most of the space back here. Yes, there is a large boot lip, which is going to cause you to drag items out most of the time, but that's all right because you're getting more boot space because of that. You can fold these seats down in a 60-40 split, which means that you can throw some stuff through on the left-hand side while carrying up to 4 people. However, if you want to get the most amount of cargo space, you can fold down the other 60% and you'll get a total usable boot space of 1,301 litres. So that is plenty of space to put items from IKEA through. So I highly recommend going to IKEA in this because I certainly did. And the only issue you're going to encounter when sliding big items in is this boot lip on the other side near the folded seats, because just sliding items in here, the heavier items have a tendency to get caught on that little lip. Now let's talk about warranty, servicing costs, and fuel costs. So let's start with warranty. You get a 5-year unlimited kilometer warranty with this when you buy it. That's pretty good, and that is pretty decent coverage. It's more so than some European alternatives. However, they're quickly catching up. So 5 years, unlimited kilometers is pretty much expected in 2021. As for servicing costs, Hyundai really wants you to purchase a prepaid service package. The most expensive one you can buy for the most amount of coverage is for 5 years or 50,000 kilometers of driving. That will cost you $1,385. And that works out to be about $277 a year per service. So that's pretty good. However, if you're doing more than 10,000 kilometers of driving per year, you might be spending a little bit more than that per year to keep this maintained. And now for fuel costs. This costs $66 to fill up from empty at your local gas station at the time of filming. So that is pretty decent. And look, if you drive conservatively, that can last you a little while. So that's a nice peace of mind when you're buying a 4-cylinder. Right, so driving in the i30N line, and right now we're in the thick of the traffic because that's exactly where you would expect to be finding an i30N line around the city, because this is meant to be a very good daily driver. And it is a very comfortable, plenty of power, great transmission, is a very viable daily driver, that's for sure. And that's why I'd be looking at getting one of these. So what power do we have? Well, we have 150 kilowatts and 265 newton meters coming from this 1.6 litre 4-cylinder petrol motor. So there's plenty of power to be had. It's even got more power than some modern day hot hatches like the R-Bar 500, which only has 132 kilowatts. This has more power than that, but obviously it's heavier, bigger, and doesn't have the suspension setup or exhaust sound that that car carries. So it's got plenty of power on tap. Now, when we're sitting at the lights, what do you notice? Well, it's a very calm car. And when you have the clutch engaged on the manual, it is sending no vibrations to the car at all. It is so relaxing to sit in here in heavy traffic, and it's a very calm interior. Everything's really easy to reach and there's great visibility. I am very comfortable sitting in the i30N line. Additionally, the bolstering in these seats is really comfortable too, so it means that when you're sitting even in traffic, your spine is nice and straight and aligned with your hips, which means you're surely not going to encounter that many instances of having a bad lower back. So yeah, off the light acceleration is quite good. It's actually enough to surprise people even in the manual transmission. It's really easy to get ahead of any traffic. It's really nice and brisk and a lot easier to use than some other manual transmissions I've been in. And so out on the open road, the i30N line feels more of like a microwaved hot hatch, or like a warm hot hatch, or maybe like a mild, not spicy hot hatch. So that just means it's got most of the flavor of a hot hatch, which is more than what people need for driving around day to day. However, the problem you're going to notice is that it's just not going to have that absolute punch you in the face level of power. But Do you really need that? I personally don't think that you do, because I love a hot hatch, but now they're so fast, they can just get you in trouble so easily. And you can ask me how I know about that too, because yeah, I've been done even a Abarth 500, and that's only got 118 kilowatts. So 150 kilowatts to have fun. There's plenty to be had in this. However, the only thing is the suspension. It is a performance-oriented suspension in here, and that is something that Hyundai claims that they've done specifically for the i30N line, but unfortunately, it's still just a little bit spongy, but that's all in the name of comfort, because this car is extremely comfortable. And the torque is really good too. If you just get a little bit higher up in the rev range, the mid-gear pull, you put your foot down, no problem getting up into the speed limit at all. It's really, really good. And just dropping down a couple of gears really sorts this car out to be able to be very responsive. And of course, out on the highway, you do have cruise control, but it's not radar cruise control in the manual. Instead, you have active lane keep assist and active steering assist, so it just keeps you nice and steady in the lane. And so heading into some downshifts now, it's nice and easy to rev match, and really you're not going to get that jerky motion that you get in some other cars with a manual transmission. So it really is a case for the manuals here, because this car has supreme control and it's really easy to just find the right gear and cruise in. Plus, power delivery, it's fantastic. Only issue is that the sound profile isn't amazing in here either. If you're looking for a little bit more sound and theatrics in your hot hatch, well, unfortunately, you might just have to shop a little bit elsewhere. Or you can go and get an aftermarket exhaust fit to this, because I think that would actually sound quite nice if you did. Now that leaves the question of, should you buy one? Well, because of how it drives, the features you get, the little sporty accents, and how this thing looks, and also how it performs, I think absolutely yes. If you're someone who's looking to not spend as much money on a i30N, or don't really need all the fuss that a hot hatch brings, like stiffer suspension, worse fuel economy, it being louder and more uncomfortable for the daily commute, I certainly recommend the i30N line as being a viable alternative for any of those reasons. It definitely helps if you get the 6-speed manual, because this is a cracker of a transmission, and it goes very nicely with making this thing feel a bit more sporty and more engaging and more fun to drive. And it helps you get the most out of that engine, because you have a bit more control over it than you would in the dual clutch transmission. However, if you are looking for a bit more power, excitement, fun, track day capability, all those extra performance goodies, you definitely have to go get an i30N, and we'll be testing one of those later in the year to really give it a full shakedown and let you know what that's all about. So you don't miss out on that video too, make sure you're subscribed, or leave a like and a comment as well if you like this review. But yes, if you really loved it, please consider subscribing and turn on that notification bell, because it certainly helps out, and I love seeing your faces. My name's Cameron, this is Product Review Cars. I'll see you in the next one.